you guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Blessing, and I hope you've enjoyed all the content that you have seen so far on this channel. To all of my OGs, hi, I've missed you guys so very much. You might be wondering where I've been or what's been going on, especially if you don't follow me on Snapchat. However, if you do follow me on Snapchat, then you know that I recently had surgery, actually last week. But if you don't, then you definitely should, just so you can somewhat be up to date with what's going on with me and all of that stuff. But today's video is just going to be on my surgery experience, what happened, what led me to have surgery, my recovery experience, and all of that jazz. Last week on April 27th, I had a laparoscopy surgery, a laparoscopic surgery. For those of you who are new to my channel, then you might not be very familiar with my endometriosis battle and my endometriosis journey. For those of you who have been here for a while, however, you're very much familiar with my battle with endometriosis and the things that I've been going through with that and all that jazz. I actually have 2 videos on it now, so you guys are somewhat familiar with the struggles that I have been facing. So on April 27th, I had a laparoscopy. Okay, backtrack. What led me to have surgery, because if you've watched those videos, then you know my stance on surgery was like, no, never, it's not gonna happen, I'm not gonna do it, no way. Just because I am a firm believer in do everything you can and let surgery be like the last resort. Basically, that's what it was for me. Recently, I had started working out and exercising and just dieting, not really dieting, but just changing the way that I eat. And that was working fantastic for me. Like, my pain had almost been manageable to a certain point. But at the same time, you guys have to understand that I have been dealing with endometriosis since I was 15. When I first got my first period when I was 15. So this has been an ongoing battle for me since I was 15. And part of me wanting to get a laparoscopy was because deep down I do want to have kids one day. That's something that I definitely want to experience, is motherhood. Secondly, because I've had this pain for so long, I just wasn't sure of what adhesions or scars or damages might have been caused in my body for this amount of time, and the only way to really know that is through a laparoscopy. And also, I wasn't really sure of what stage of endometriosis I was in, and the only way to find out is through a laparoscopy. But lastly, my mom was definitely pushing for me to get surgery, and her whole reasoning would make complete sense. It's better to get it now as opposed to later. You know, just get it now, figure out what's going on, and then, you know, before you regret it later. So basically, like I said, on April 27th I had surgery, and that was a Wednesday. Prior to that whole week I was working night shift. I do work in a hospital, so I was on night shift. Basically on April 26th, which was a Tuesday, I was supposed to go to Vancouver to get blood work for surgery. But because I was on night shift, I ended up calling them and saying, okay, I'm leaving my night shift. Vancouver is about an hour and a half from me. I'm not really comfortable driving all the way there just to get blood work. Can you guys just send my blood work to the city that I live in so I can have it done? And the lady was like, oh no, like, this is special blood work, you can only do it here at the hospital in Vancouver, so you have to come and you have to have this surgery done before you have, you have to have this blood work done before you have surgery. So basically, I had no choice but to go in and have the blood work. So that whole night, actually, I had gotten a cold from work. That whole night during night shift, I was coughing, I was sneezing, I had a runny nose, so I had gotten a cold, And so that morning when I'm driving to Vancouver, I was literally like an old lady with like boxes of Kleenex, just blowing my nose, and I just felt really crappy. It was just gross. It was a hot mess. But anyway, I ended up going to Vancouver, doing the blood work. They did the special blood work, and then they test for like AIDS and stuff like that. They did all of that, fine and good. So after that, I was told to wait. A nurse came in to kind of explain to me what I should expect for the next day, which was my surgery date. She came in, she sat down. I actually have the pamphlets that she gave me. I told myself I would save them so I can give accurate information. So I had like everything about like surgery, what to expect and all of that. So basically she explained to me that I could not eat past a certain time on Tuesday, which was that day, that I could not eat past 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock because she wanted me to do an enema. Enema to just kind of clear out my bowels and make sure that everything is clear and empty and all of that. So I ended up doing an enema on myself at 6 o'clock. And after that, I was not allowed to eat except for like drink water and apple juice and whatnot, which I did. So after basically getting my information, she was like, oh, are you nervous? I was like, yeah, of course I'm nervous. Like, this is my first surgery ever. You guys are about to like cut my stomach. I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, I'm about to be under anesthesia. I don't know how I'm gonna react to it. Like, I just don't know. And I'm sick. I don't really understand. And she also told me that if I experienced fever that night, because I had a cold, that if I was experiencing fever that night, that I should make sure I call the hospital and let them know ahead of time. So I was like, okay, cool. So I basically made my way back home. Mind you, I have not slept from my night shift or anything. I made my way back home, and you guys, I have never been so sick. Like, from the minute I walked in, I had a fever. Like, I had a fever, my cold was still there, I had a runny nose, like, it was just a hot mess. So I laid in bed. I was like, okay, I can't take any medication because I'm having surgery the next day. They advise you not to take Tylenol or anything like that prior to surgery because you're going to be under anesthesia. So I ended up calling the hospital. I was like, look, I'm having a fever, my temperature is really high right now, and I'm having surgery the next day, like the next morning. What do I do? The guy was like, the guy that I spoke to, you guys, like, some people, I don't know where they get their degrees or anything from. Like, the guy was a complete jerk. Like, he was so unhelpful, so unprofessional. So basically, I just ended up taking a Tylenol. I was like, okay, thank you for your help. And I just went ahead, I took a Tylenol. My temperature went down for a bit, for about like 2 hours, and then it came back up. And I'm just like, yo, I can't do this. Like, this surgery is not gonna happen tomorrow. Like, I don't know what to do. So basically I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna freak out about it anymore. I'm just gonna leave it in God's hands. If it's meant to be, it will be. If it's not, then we're just gonna have to reschedule, whatever. Like, I can't control the way I'm feeling right now. So the next day, April 27th, was the day of my surgery. My surgery was scheduled for 12 o'clock. So because it takes about 2 hours to get to the place that I'm having the surgery, because I live so far away, I had to leave my house at 9 o'clock. My coworker actually ended up coming to take me to surgery, and she was so nice that she stayed like the entire time I was in surgery. Like, she was there the entire time, brought me back home. Like, I owe her the world at this point. Yeah, so she came and took me. So we left my house at like 9 o'clock, and we got there at about 11:30ish, and my appointment for surgery was at 12 o'clock. So check-in was super quick, everything was super fast. By the time we got to the waiting area, I checked in, you know, showed them my information, and I ended up being the last person to go in. People were coming in. I'm looking at the clock. It's like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I'm like, what's going on? Finally, I was the only one left in the waiting room, and the nurse came in and she's talking to me. She's like, oh, we left you last because we know you've been having a fever, so we just wanted to see if your fever would like go down and stuff like that. My fever ended up going down a little bit, but you know, I still had my cold, I still had my runny nose and all that stuff. So she was like, okay, well, let's just check your temperature, let's just do like the basic stuff, and we'll see what happens after. So I was like, okay, cool. So they took me to this room. You know, I had to strip, I had to change into like the hospital gown, a hospital robe, had to put a hairnet on, had to put some hospital sticky socks, which are the worst. I had to put some mesh panties on. You know, like I felt like I was a patient. I was like, normally this is the other way around. Like I do this to people. People don't do this to me. But it felt weird, but you know, whatever. Like you gotta do what you gotta do. So what they ended up doing was calling an anesthesiologist in to come check me out, because he's the one that has to put me on anesthesia. So he came and checked me out, checked my temperature, checked my chest, checked my lungs. He was like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and do it. You seem okay now, but you're definitely going to wake up with the fever and all of that. I was like, oh great, you know, whatever. So I ended up getting changed, and then I had to go to the section where they do like blood work and where they do the IV. Now this part was another struggle on its own. I have really bad veins. Unfortunately, that's genetic. I have really bad veins, and basically the nurse, bless her heart, she was unable to putting an IV for me. So nurses are only allowed to try twice. After that, you either have to get a doctor or you have to get the anesthesiologist to do it. So the anesthesiologist guy came in, and he was like sitting there trying to poke me, you know, trying to do it. They couldn't do it, and I'm just like, at this point, I'm just like, this is a sign from God. I'm not supposed to have this surgery. Everything that can go wrong is literally going wrong. I don't understand. Like, they can't find my veins because I'm filled with valves. Like, it's just a hot mess. So it took them 2 hours to put an IV on me. And the guy was like, in my 25 years of working, I have never had a more difficult patient than you. I've never experienced this amount of difficulty. He was like, what did he say? He was like, you're my challenge of the day. And I felt so bad because I was like, I am so sorry. Like, I don't know why my veins are so bad. Like, I'm sorry. So he was like, no, this is so challenging. I like it. I'm like, I don't, because I'm getting poked. But basically they had to use an ultrasound to kind of find my veins, which they did. So now I'm at 3 o'clock. So like, it went from 12 o'clock to now 3 o'clock. And finally they take me in. I walk into like the surgery room. My doctor is there, and she had another guy who was going to help her with the surgery, another doctor who's going to help her with the surgery. So it literally took me 30 seconds to fall asleep once they put the gas mask on your face. I fell asleep within 30 seconds. I don't even remember what I was talking about. I fell asleep within 30 seconds. Next minute I know I'm waking up in the recovery room, and I'm waking up with shivers. Like, I'm literally just shivering, and I had a fever. And at this point, the only thing I remember asking is, am I okay? And because there was a nurse standing next to me, and she was like, yeah, you did really well, like, you're okay. My doctor was nice enough to actually print out pictures of what my insides look like, and what happened during surgery, and what she had to do and what she didn't have to do. And also in the back of the picture, she wrote me a letter just basically explaining everything that she did and what I needed to do next and all of that stuff. However, in this video, I am not going to share those pictures with you guys because I don't want to gross you guys out more than I'm probably about to do. And also, like, those are my insides. I don't want to be like, oh, here's my uterus, here's my tubes. Like, I don't know. I share everything else, I know, but I just don't want to show you guys my abdomen, my insides. Like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. But I am going to explain to you guys exactly what was there and what she wrote and all of that stuff. So I asked the nurse, am I okay, and all this stuff. She's like, yeah, you did fine. And then she starts to explain to me how I had a lot of adhesions and I had a lot of scarring. For those of you who don't know, adhesions and scarring do cause cancer. So that was another reason why it was important for me to have this surgery, because I would have never known that I had a lot of adhesions and scarring if I hadn't had the surgery. So I had my 2 ovaries were completely covered in adhesions and scarring. So that goes to tell you why I have so much pain during my periods. And also from the pictures and from her explanation, my organs were literally all glued together. Like my fallopian tubes were like glued to each other, and then my uterus, they were like, it was just all a hot mess in there. Like everything was just kind of squished and glued together. However, because I was on my period, I didn't mention this, I was actually on my period the day of my surgery, so she was not able to take a proper look at my uterus. Moving on, she then came to explain to me that one of my tubes unfortunately ended up being blocked. Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't cry, but forgive me if I do. One of my tubes ended up being blocked. The other one is like semi-blocked. Semi meaning that she was able to blow air into it and then it would forcefully open, and she was able to then put dye into it. The other one, she couldn't even put dye, like it would not go through, like it was blocked. But this one, when she blew the air, she was then able to put the dye into it. So that's what I mean by like semi-blocked. Like she had to like forcefully open it. Yeah, so basically now, because I was in my period and she wasn't able to look at my uterus, I have to do these treatments. I think, what is it, HCG treatments. There's some kind of like hormone treatments where basically she's going to have to take a better look at my uterus to kind of see what's going on, and also she's going to take a better look at my tube that's semi-blocked, and just kind of see how we can preserve it, how we can save it, so that I can have kids in the future. It's a lot. So imagine waking up from surgery and someone telling you your tubes are blocked. I lost it. I cried. I bawled my eyes out, and this was like 2 minutes after waking up from anesthesia. All I wanted to know was, am I okay? And getting that news, I couldn't process anything else in my head. All I heard was tubes blocked, and I just started crying. I bawled my eyes out, and the nurses were like trying to hold me down, and they're like, you need to calm down, you just woke up from surgery, like you don't need to be crying, this is not good for you. I was not trying to hear it, because in my head this whole time I'm like, with the number of emergency visits that I've had, with the number of doctors that I've seen, with the number of stupid birth controls that I've been on, why couldn't anybody figure this out before it got this bad? That was my frustration at the time. But so yeah, I lost it. I cried. I bawled my eyes out. Then my coworker came in and she helps me get dressed. Something about laparoscopy, it's like same day surgery. They send you home the same day. Like you do not stay in the hospital unless you have like major complications. You do not stay in. They send you home the same day. All of that. So she ended up coming, helping me get dressed. At this point I'm like crying, I'm feverish, I'm blowing my nose, like I'm just a mess. We get into the car. I could not walk, so I had to be carried out on a wheelchair. I couldn't stand, I couldn't walk, so they just popped me on the wheelchair and then popped me into the car. And yeah, so as we left the hospital, like I called my dad and he was like, okay, I'm coming to pick you up. You're not staying home by yourself. I'm coming to pick you up. I told him the rundown. I'm like, Dad, my tubes are blocked. I don't know what to do. And he's like, no, like have faith, trust in God. We're going to work this out. We're going to get through it. You're going to do the treatments and we're just not going to give up right now. So I was like, okay, like he came to pick me up. So I ended up staying with my parents for a week. And as they helped me recover, and I'm so thankful that I have the family that I have, because this was really a time of trial and tribulation for my family and I. And it's moments like this that you really appreciate the love and support that you have from people. Yeah, which was another reason why I wasn't sure if I was going to film this video. But at the same time, I'm like, my channel, if you look at my videos, I'm very honest. I'm very open with you guys, and vice versa. You guys are very honest. So I didn't want to just tell you guys bits and parts of my life and just withhold stuff like this, because honestly, you guys, I don't know what my purpose on earth is, and I'm still trying to figure it out. If by any chance this is my purpose on earth, to empower people, to educate people, then I need to make sure that I do that and I fulfill that. Through making videos, I've come to understand that I'm not the only one who has endometriosis and who battles with it. There are countless of women out there who have the same issues that I have. And I've never had someone that was able to relate to me, because my mom doesn't have the type of periods that I have. My sister's not really, like, you know, I'm the only one who ends up in the ER when they're on their period that I know of. And it wasn't until I started making videos and really speaking about it that I received the enormous response that I received from you guys. So I wanted to go ahead and share the story. I am pleading with you guys right now, and I'm going to try not to cry. I'm pleading with you guys that if you are battling endometriosis or any other illness and you just want answers, I want you guys to take it seriously, because it is a serious illness, especially if you know you want to have kids in the future. It's something that is so serious. So you definitely have to take it seriously. And when you do go to your doctor's appointments, I want you guys to ask questions. I want you guys to get the answers that you need, that you are seeking for. Don't be afraid to ask questions, because that was definitely one thing with me, was that I was embarrassed almost to ask questions to my doctors, because, you know, my doctors are guys. So I was almost embarrassed to ask certain questions. So I want you guys to be open and to ask questions, because that's why they're doctors. That's why they spend all the amount of school. That's what you're paying them for. So ask questions. There's no such thing as a stupid questions. It's your health, and you have the right to know. But most importantly, I want you guys to make sure that you weigh out all of your options. If you choose not to have surgery right now, at least let surgery be an option for you. Surgery was never an option for me up until my mom and my recent doctor brought it up. Like, I have had so many doctors and I have had so many treatments, but no one has ever said you need to have surgery. So I want you guys to not go through the same things that I went through, but actually have a better outcome, because like I said, I don't know what my purpose is, but if it's this, then I want to make sure that I am giving you guys all the resources and all the tools that you need to have a successful outcome. This is my story. This is what happened. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm so fortunate that we are in a time now that there's so much technology. So if God forbid I have to freeze my eggs and I have to go through in vitro, I will cross that bridge when I get there. I want to be able to come back and sit on this chair and look at you guys and say, I have good news, I'm pregnant. And I know I'm going to do that. I'm speaking into existence. I'm speaking it into the universe. I have cried. I have bawled my eyes out. It's been a rough week for me, but I am a child of God, so I'm not going to give up, and I don't want you guys to give up either, which is why it's so important for me to make sure that you guys are taking your health seriously. It may not be endometriosis, but whatever you're battling, please make sure you have all the answers that you need, and please make sure you have all the resources that you need to properly make a decision. I would have never gone through surgery if my mom hadn't pushed, and I'm thankful that she did. I was against it. I was like, I don't want to do this, but now I am aware of everything that's going on. I am aware of the damage that it has caused, and I can only look forward. I don't want to make this video too long because I'm going to start crying. I've already started, but I do love you guys, and I do want to thank you guys so much for the support. So many of you reached out to me on Snapchat, and I am so thankful, and I'm so grateful to have the family that I have with you guys, and I love you guys so much. I'm sorry that I'm crying. Please take care of yourselves, ask questions, and don't be ashamed to ask questions. Just be proactive about your health, because that is one of the most important things that you have, is your health. So just be proactive about it and just do better than I did. And I love you guys, and I will see you on my next video. Bye.